If you've been losing more hair than normal and you've already tried biotin, collagen, three different hair, skin, and nail gummies, and nothing has worked, this video is for you. Little disclaimer here, yes, I am a physician assistant, but this video is for educational purposes only, not to be taken as medical advice. Please always consult with your provider before making any changes to your health supplements or medications. All right, let's go ahead and break this down. The first thing I want you to understand about hair loss is this. Your hair is telling the story of what was happening in your body 3 to 6 months ago. So, if you're shedding hair right now, the trigger probably happened back in the fall or winter. A really stressful season at work, or maybe postpartum, or coming off of birth control, a bad illness, a round of antibiotics, a crash diet, a surgery. Your hair follicles will go into a kind of shock state when something major happens. And the shedding usually shows up later, sometimes even 6 months later. This is one of the reasons that hair loss is so confusing for women. By the time you notice it, the original trigger is usually already gone. You might feel fine now, your stress might be better, maybe your life is calmer, and then you notice your hair starts falling out and you're like, what the heck? Why is this happening now? So, when we work backwards, we're often digging into what happened maybe half a year ago instead of just looking at your life right now. Now, let me talk about why so many women come to me convinced they just need a better supplement. Hair, skin, and nail formulas are one of the top selling categories in women health supplements right now. They are everywhere. They are marketed very beautifully. And for most of my clients, they really don't do a whole lot of anything. Some of them have decent ingredients. I'm not saying that every product is junk. But if your ferritin is 12, no amount of high dose biotin is ever going to help that. If your thyroid is sluggish, a collagen powder is not going to completely override that. If your scalp is inflamed, a oral gummy multivitamin is not fixing your hair follicle. Hair loss is a symptom, and it's a symptom that has multiple inputs that need a workup for those multiple inputs. You can't out supplement a multifactorial issue with just one product. We all wish it could be that easy. So let's go through what I actually look at when a client comes to me with hair loss issues. First thing is always going to be thyroid. Conventional medicine will usually check your TSH and will consider it up to 4.5 as normal. Many of the women that I work with, they don't feel right or they don't function well unless that number is closer to 1 or 2. I also want to be looking at your free T3, free T4, thyroid antibodies, reverse T3. Active T3 is what actually drives hair growth at the cellular level. And if your T3 is low or your reverse T3 is high, your follicles are being told to slow down. I did an entire episode on thyroid function, so go back and listen to that one. A clinical clue that I look for: thinning at the outer third of the eyebrow. This is a classic sign for low thyroid function. Okay, the second thing I'm checking on is ferritin. Ferritin is your stored iron. It's different from a basic iron panel, and it almost never usually gets run unless you specifically ask for it. A lot of times you'll get a CBC in conventional medicine, and that's it. Most labs are only going to flag ferritin if it's below 15. For hair regrowth, I actually want to see your ferritin level optimally between 70 and 100. I cannot tell you how many times I ordered ferritin on a woman who was told her iron was fine, and we find that her ferritin is like 18. We work it up, we fix it, and her hair starts growing back within a couple months. The third thing is postpartum. So, if you've had a baby in the last year, this section is for you. During pregnancy, your estrogen is high. Estrogen will keep your hair in the growth phase, which is a good thing. We often notice that pregnancy hair feels thicker and fuller than usual. Then you deliver your baby and your estrogen level drops. All those hairs that should have shed during pregnancy all start shedding at once, usually around 3 or 4 months postpartum. And then add on top of that, you have sleep deprivation, stress, whatever else. The nutrient demands of breastfeeding. You have blood loss at delivery. Basically, you have this entire roller coaster of new motherhood, and that's a perfect storm for hair loss. Some postpartum shedding of hair is expected, okay? This does typically self correct, but it gets significantly worse if your ferritin is super low and if your thyroid has not returned to normal. Postpartum thyroiditis is very real and very underdiagnosed. The fourth is post pill birth control. Okay. So, birth control suppresses your natural hormones. That is how it works to prevent pregnancy. It does also deplete nutrients. So, things like zinc, magnesium, B vitamins. When you come off of it, your body has to learn how to turn these things back on. Your sex hormones have to figure out how to start working again. In some women, that reboot of hormones actually reveals an underlying PCOS issue that was basically masked by birth control the entire time. So, post pill shedding usually ends up occurring 3 to 6 months after you stop the pill. Very common. Post pill PCOS hair loss also has its own pattern. So, you're going to notice more thinning at the crown and the temples. Often, you could have new hair growth along the chin or jawline or upper lip. That is an indication of androgen activity, aka elevated testosterone. This in itself needs its own workup. Okay, the fifth thing is scalp inflammation. This one often gets missed because we tend to think of hair loss as something that's happening inside the body, and we tend to forget that your scalp is skin. So, when your scalp is inflamed, your follicles can't anchor a healthy hair shaft. You'll often see flaking, itchiness, redness, oily buildup, or like a tender feeling on your scalp. Scalp inflammation is usually connected to gut imbalances, fungal overgrowth like malassezia, blood sugar issues, or chronic systemic inflammation. If you're treating it from two directions, so topically with the right scalp care and also internally by addressing internal inflammation, that's what's going to get you results. Okay, now I want to talk about the one driver that basically affects literally everyone that is listening to this, and most people completely bypass this, and it is stress. Stress is one of the biggest contributors to hair loss in women. It almost never gets named as the actual cause of it, though. But here's why it matters so much. Cortisol is going to disrupt your thyroid function. It also will deplete your progesterone. It also is going to divert blood flow away from your tissues your body considers not essential. And to be honest, your hair and your hair follicles are on that list. Your body is going to prioritize other things beyond hair growth. It's going to burn through your zinc and magnesium, both of which your hair very desperately needs. So when you're chronically stressed, your body decides that hair is a luxury that it can't afford right now. It would rather keep you alive than keep you pretty and have a hair full of head. So I had a client, she had lost a significant amount of hair after a very brutal year of building her business. She wasn't eating enough. She was still training very hard in the gym. She was very stressed about money. She was sleeping 5 hours a night. By the time she came to me, the year was actually getting a lot better. Things had evened out stress wise. She was less stressed. She was eating more. She was sleeping more. Things felt calmer. But her hair was just starting to fall out and she was very confused. That's the lag I talked about earlier. Hair loss is often just a reflection of what was happening earlier in the year for you. So, what do you actually do about all this? The first step is testing. So, you cannot fix this entirely by guessing. I want a full thyroid panel. I want to see what do all factors of your thyroid look like, including TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, thyroid antibodies. I want to check your nutrient status. So, what is your ferritin? What are your B vitamins, vitamin D, zinc? What do those things look like? I will often check a Dutch test if I suspect that cortisol dysregulation could be an issue, because here we can see the full cortisol pattern throughout the day. I often will also check a GI map if there's any gut health issues related to it. Almost everybody with hair loss has some aspect of gut health issues. So if we think that's a factor, we're going to check on your gut health. Once we have the data, we can build a plan that actually addresses your specific inputs. Maybe you need iron with the right cofactors with it. Maybe your thyroid needs a very targeted support or even, thyroid medication. Maybe your nervous system has been stuck in fight or flight for 2 years and we need to work on nervous system regulation before we add any medication or supplement. Every protocol is different because the inputs are completely different. Then we have the foundational work. And this is basically non-negotiable, even, despite what your labs say. So one is going to be eating enough. Another is, make sure you're eating enough protein. Your hair is literally made of protein. If you're under eating, your body is not going to prioritize hair growth. Another big thing is getting out of fight or flight. So, slowing down when you eat, walking after meals, going to bed earlier. Stop stacking 5 different stressors on top of your already stressed day. If you're already stressed, we want to work on reducing your stress bucket, even if it's healthy things like training. Sleep. So, actually, sleep 7 to 9 hours, even on the weekends. Move your body, but don't beat yourself up. So, if you're already depleted and stressed, doing 5 high intensity hit workout classes is not helping you at all. It's just digging the hole deeper. These foundations matter more than any supplement on the shelf. So, if you take anything from this video, it is this: hair loss in women is almost always multifactorial, meaning multiple things are contributing to it. It's almost always tied to what was happening in your body 3 to 6 months ago. And it's almost always going to need more than one fix. Hair, skin, and nails gummy will not override low ferritin, high stress, sluggish thyroid, postpartum depletion, post pill chaos, or chronic stress. Okay. There's no one single product on the shelf that can do all that. I wish there was. Test, identify the actual inputs, build a real plan, be patient with the timeline because it does take time. And if you've been losing hair, you're tired of throwing supplements at it without seeing any real results. This is exactly what we work on inside of our coaching program. We're going to test, identify what's actually going on in your specific body, and then we build a plan based off of that. Click the link in the description to apply for a free consult with our team. If this episode helped you, save it, share it with a friend. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you in the next one.